I have some more thoughts about the Charlie Kirk assassination because I think it's really important. I listen to a variety of different people from all different walks of life and stance and positions politically, from the most liberal to the most conservative, everything in between. And there are people who believe that Charlie Kirk should be heralded as like a Christian martyr, and that he should be sainted, that he died because of his belief in Jesus, and that he wouldn't compromise his beliefs, and that he should be seen and held up and respected in that way. I don't agree with that at all. First of all, from a biblical perspective, if you want to call him a martyr, and if you want to consider him to be a martyr for the conservative political movement in America, I'll give you that. If you want to consider him a martyr in the sense that he was a martyr for the evangelical Christian religious practice, I'll give you that too, but that's as far as I go. In order for him to be a true martyr of Jesus Christ would mean that he would have to have been faced with the choice of either rejecting his faith in Jesus or death. That's not what occurred. He was in Utah. He was doing what he normally does. It was a whole political situation he was in. I won't call him a martyr, nor will I saint him. I do not saint this man. I do not endorse anything that he said, almost anything that he said or stood for. So I'm not going to give him that. So I don't agree with that. There are people on the other side of the spectrum, however, who believe that we shouldn't employ any empathy whatsoever toward his wife, toward his children, toward his parents, if he has siblings. Like, they don't even, as if you're black and brown, that we should not be employing any kind of empathy in the direction of him or his family or his friends or anyone who loved him because of his harmful, destructive rhetoric around gays and around trans and around minority groups and around black people. And I'm not getting on that bandwagon. I'm a human being. From a human being perspective, this man at 31 was taken out of this earth before his time and leaving in his wake a wife and two very, very, very young children, to say nothing of siblings if he has them, to say nothing of the friends that loved him, to say nothing of his parents, his mama, for God's sakes. So no, I'm a human being, and I am going to employ empathy for him, for his family, for his loved ones that have lost a person. Like, he was a living person in their lives that, from what I know, from what I can tell, because I didn't do much research on the dude, I didn't know much about him, he treated them well, and he loved his wife from what we're told, and he loved his children from what we've been told and from what we know. So how am I not supposed to employ empathy in their direction about them losing someone that they deeply love in their life? That's not what we're going to do. My perspective, I'm not even going to say it's in the middle of the road. I'm just going to say it's my perspective, is I grieve. I don't grieve. That's not true, because I actually don't feel sadness, because I wasn't connected to him in that way. Even in a parasocial relationship situation, I wasn't connected to him. I didn't feed on his content. But I can employ empathy and compassion to his wife and his children and his parents, his siblings if he's got them, and his friends, for having lost someone really significant to them suddenly and very young. So I am going to 100% employ that. That's number one. And two, I am not grieving the loss of him, and I'm not experiencing necessarily a sadness in his transition and his departure. And I am also aware that he was a voice and a mouthpiece for a whole lot of rhetoric that contributed to the kind of volatile environment that we're in this country that would make situations like this a possibility. Right? He was all about guns and the amendments and all your Second Amendment right. And you had the right to bear arms. And even if there are casualties because of gun violence, that is a worthwhile casualty so long as we can keep our Second Amendment right. Well, sir, here you go. You see what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of things that he said and that he preached that he believed in that I did not support, and that I believe contributed to the environment that created all the cooperative components necessary for the event that took his life out prematurely. And it should not have happened. And it's awful. And I can send prayers in the direction of his family, his loved ones, his friends, his siblings, his parents. I can hold both of those things at the same time, because I think that's what being human is. It's just because a person says something that's harmful, or they preach things that are harmful, that you don't agree with and that you think are dangerous, which I do, by the way. I agree with all of that. That doesn't mean that we then can dehumanize that person to such an extent that we won't even employ any degree of compassion or empathy toward those that have been affected by the loss of that individual in their life.